The Courage to Fail, How to Embrace Failure and Keep Moving Forward. Introduction. Failure is often seen as a setback, a sign of weakness, or something to avoid at all costs. We've been taught to fear it, to hide from it, to make every effort to ensure that we never fail. And yet, some of the most extraordinary achievements in history were born from failure, crafted by those who embraced their mistakes and turned them into fuel for their journey forward. It's easy to admire the success stories, those who appear to have risen effortlessly to the top, their paths seemingly smooth and uninterrupted. But for every success, there is an untold story of missteps, rejection, and unexpected detours. The reality is, failure is not an obstacle to success, but an essential part of it. It is in the moments of falling short, in the experiences of falling down, that we learn the most about ourselves, our purpose, and our capacity to rise. What if failure wasn't something to fear, but something to embrace? What if we could look at our mistakes not as marks against us, but as lessons, stepping stones, and opportunities for growth? Imagine a world where failure didn't carry its heavy, shameful weight, where we could approach it with curiosity rather than dread, with courage rather than hesitation. In that world, failure becomes an ally, a tool that sharpens our resolve and strengthens our abilities. In the moments when we stumble, we gain clarity. It's through these times of discomfort and uncertainty that we discover what we're truly made of. We find new ways to persevere, innovate, and grow. And perhaps most importantly, we realize that failure is not the end of the road, but the beginning of something even greater. This journey is not about avoiding failure. It's about learning to face it head-on, to understand its role in shaping us, and to keep moving forward with an unwavering belief that we can, and will, succeed in ways we never imagined. The courage to fail is the courage to transform, to evolve, and to embrace the full spectrum of human experience. So, what if failure wasn't something to avoid? What if it was, instead, the very thing that propelled you toward the future you've always dreamed of? Chapter 1. Redefining Failure. We are often conditioned to view failure as something inherently negative, something to be avoided at all costs. It's associated with feelings of inadequacy, defeat, and shame. From a young age, we're taught that failure is the opposite of success, a harsh judgment that marks the end of our efforts. Yet in reality, failure is not a final verdict. It's simply a part of the process, an integral and unavoidable step in the journey toward success. When we start to see failure differently, we realize that it's not an obstacle in our way, but rather an essential building block. It's the moment when we encounter the unexpected or the unintended that we learn the most about ourselves and the path we're meant to follow. Failure isn't a reflection of our potential. It's a feedback mechanism that tells us where we need to adjust, grow, and refine. It's a powerful tool that provides clarity, uncovering gaps in our knowledge or areas that need more focus. Without it, we would never learn, evolve, or develop the resilience required to achieve anything worthwhile. True success doesn't come from avoiding failure, but from embracing it. The most accomplished individuals, whether in business, art, science, or any other field, didn't reach their heights by sidestepping mistakes. They encountered them, faced them head-on, and used them as a springboard to improve, adapt, and try again. The fear of failure holds us back, often paralyzing us into inaction. But once we begin to see failure not as a reflection of our abilities but as a stepping stone to mastery, we can approach life with more freedom, courage, and creativity. Each failure teaches us a lesson that we carry forward. Sometimes these lessons are obvious, other times they are subtle, hidden in the discomfort or frustration we experience. But every time we fail and rise again, we expand our understanding, sharpen our skills, and grow in ways that would not be possible without those moments of hardship. In fact, it's often the struggle, the missteps, and the perseverance through failure that build the very qualities that lead to long-term success: resilience, patience, focus, and determination. Failure, when understood properly, is not an event to be feared, but a process to be appreciated. It reveals our true potential, forces us to confront our limits, and opens doors we never would have considered otherwise. The most successful people in history did not avoid failure. They leaned into it. They recognized that it was not an enemy, but a partner in their journey. It is in the face of failure that we truly grow, not just in our skills, but in our capacity to handle adversity, to persist despite challenges, and to believe that success is possible, even when the path isn't clear. In the end, failure doesn't make us weaker. It strengthens us. It's in the struggle, the trial and error, that we find the courage to keep going, the wisdom to change course, and the resilience to bounce back. Understanding the true nature of failure, acknowledging that it's necessary for success, changes the way we approach challenges and ultimately transforms the way we live and work. Failure becomes not an endpoint, but a powerful, essential part of the journey. Chapter 2. The Fear of Falling Short. There is a unique kind of fear that accompanies failure, the fear of not living up to expectations, of not measuring up to the standards we set for ourselves or that others impose upon us. This fear can be paralyzing, preventing us from taking risks, trying new things, or stepping outside of our comfort zones. It's easy to see failure as a reflection of our inadequacies, as proof that we are not enough, or that we will never achieve what we set out to do. These emotions, while natural, hold us captive if we allow them to dominate our mindset. The reality is that failure doesn't diminish our worth or our potential. Yet, the fear of falling short often convinces us otherwise. When we face failure, we feel as though we are exposed, vulnerable, and open to judgment. The sting of disappointment can echo through our minds, leaving us questioning our abilities, our decisions, and our future. We may internalize failure, believing that it defines who we are rather than viewing it as an experience that can be learned from. This emotional burden can be overwhelming, and it's one that many people struggle with in silence. But what if the emotions we associate with failure, the fear, the shame, the embarrassment, were not permanent markers of our identity? What if they were simply temporary reactions, emotions that arise in the moment but don't have to shape our long-term view of ourselves? In truth, these emotions are part of the human experience, but they don't need to control us. The discomfort that comes with falling short is not an indication that we are incapable, but rather that we care deeply about our goals. This emotional response is proof that we are invested, that we have a passion for what we do, and that we are willing to grow. To truly conquer the fear of falling short, we must shift the way we perceive these emotions. Instead of seeing failure as a verdict, we can start to view it as a momentary setback, an experience that provides us with feedback and a chance to recalibrate. The fear of failure loses its power when we begin to disassociate it from our self-worth. Failure is simply a natural part of life, a process that we all go through in our own unique ways. In fact, the more we encounter it and learn from it, the more resilient we become. This fear of falling short is often compounded by the stigma of failure in our society. We're taught that success is the ultimate goal and that anything less is a reflection of our inability to achieve greatness. Yet this narrow definition of success ignores the complexity of human progress. Achievements aren't always linear, and the road to success is filled with twists, turns, and roadblocks that we must learn to navigate. It's easy to become discouraged by the stigma attached to falling short, especially when we see others seemingly succeeding effortlessly. However, this comparison is often misleading. The true measure of success lies not in how we compare to others, but in how we continue to move forward in spite of our failures. Breaking free from the stigma of failure requires a deep internal shift. It calls for a redefinition of success, one that embraces setbacks as part of the journey rather than as a reflection of our shortcomings. We must stop measuring our worth by external standards and start trusting the process, knowing that every step, whether forward or backward, is progress. By confronting the emotions that arise when we fall short and reframing them as opportunities for growth, we begin to let go of the fear and the stigma that keep us from taking bold action. In this process, we come to understand that failure is not a mark of defeat, but a stepping stone. Each time we fall, we gather new insights, new strengths, and a deeper understanding of what it takes to move closer to our aspirations. By facing the fear of falling short head-on, we can transform it from an obstacle into a catalyst for change, growth, and resilience. Chapter 3. Lessons in the Dark. When we face setbacks, it often feels as if we're walking in a dark room, stumbling over unseen obstacles. There's a temptation to focus solely on the pain, frustration, and confusion, but within this darkness lies a wealth of insight. It's in these moments, when things go wrong and we feel at our lowest, that the most profound lessons are hidden. The key is not to avoid or suppress these experiences, but to lean into them and recognize that failure is not a dead end. It's a doorway to growth. The idea of failure being a dark and oppressive force is a perspective that limits potential. In truth, the darkness of failure is often just a temporary state, a fog that clouds our vision but doesn't obscure the possibilities that lie ahead. The discomfort we experience when things go wrong is natural, but if we stop there, we miss the opportunity to learn. In the shadows of our mistakes, we often discover the most significant insights about ourselves, our goals, and the journey we are on. Setbacks, while painful, are not without purpose. Every mistake we make, every unexpected twist in our path, offers invaluable feedback about the choices we've made, the methods we've used, and the assumptions we've held. Sometimes, the lessons are clear and immediate, but other times, they're wrapped in layers of complexity. It requires patience, introspection, and a willingness to embrace discomfort to begin unraveling the wisdom embedded within a failure. When we stop viewing failure as something to be feared and start seeing it as a moment of revelation, we free ourselves to take risks, to try new things, and to push forward without the looming dread of potential mistakes. Every failure is a piece of a puzzle that helps us to better understand the bigger picture. Often, the mistakes we make provide clarity on what doesn't work, which in turn brings us closer to discovering what will. Through reflection, we can identify the specific actions that led us astray and adjust accordingly, fine-tuning our approach with every experience. The key to transforming setbacks into powerful lessons lies in our response to them. We can choose to become overwhelmed by the negative emotions they trigger, or we can choose to view them as opportunities to improve. When we choose the latter, we create space for growth. The most successful individuals aren't those who've never faced failure. They are the ones who faced it head-on, understood what went wrong, and used those insights to propel themselves forward with greater wisdom and clarity. In many ways, setbacks are like a personal trainer for our growth. They challenge us, push us beyond our comfort zones, and force us to confront areas where we need to develop. Just as an athlete builds muscle by exerting their body beyond its usual limits, we too strengthen our mental and emotional resilience when we push through challenges. This process requires vulnerability, an openness to examine not just what we did, but why we did it. When we take a step back and critically assess our failures, we start to uncover patterns, behaviors, and thought processes that were hindering our progress. This awareness equips us with the knowledge needed to make better choices in the future. Failures also serve as reminders that success is not a straight line, nor is it achieved through perfection. In fact, some of the most valuable lessons come not from achieving what we set out to do, but from the detours and mistakes that take us in unexpected directions. Sometimes these missteps lead us to entirely new possibilities, new opportunities, and even new passions that we never would have encountered had we stuck rigidly to our initial plans. The path we envision for ourselves often needs to be adapted and adjusted, and setbacks help us identify the most authentic, fulfilling version of success. Ultimately, it is not the failure itself that defines us, but how we use it to evolve. When we embrace failure as a tool for growth, we cultivate a mindset that values the lessons hidden within the dark moments. We stop seeking to avoid setbacks and instead seek to understand them, knowing that they are not the end of the road, but an invitation to move forward with more knowledge, more resilience, and more clarity. It is in this space, where we dare to fail, that we uncover the lessons that truly shape our success. Chapter 4. Moving beyond mistakes. The tendency to let our mistakes define us is a trap many fall into, often without realizing it. After a failure, it's easy to internalize the disappointment, allowing it to become a central part of who we are. But mistakes do not define our worth, nor do they shape our future unless we allow them to. They are simply events that occur along the journey, not the essence of who we are. To move beyond mistakes is to recognize that they are not an inherent part of our identity, but rather part of the process of growth. When we encounter setbacks, regret and self-doubt often follow. These emotions can cloud our judgment, making it difficult to see clearly or make decisions with confidence. We question ourselves. Why didn't I do this differently? Why didn't I succeed? These questions are natural, but they can quickly spiral into destructive patterns if we remain fixated on them. Regret, in particular, tends to magnify the past in a way that distorts reality. It convinces us that if we had only acted differently, the outcome would have been better, ignoring the fact that our current perspective is influenced by the lessons we've gained since the event occurred. Regret can also breed self-doubt, which often leads us to question our abilities and our worth. When we believe our failures reflect our lack of competence or potential, we become paralyzed. The fear of repeating the same mistakes keeps us from taking new risks or trying again. This cycle of self-criticism can be so powerful that it inhibits our growth and discourages us from stepping forward with the same energy and passion that propelled us in the first place. To truly move beyond mistakes, we must release the grip of regret and self-doubt that holds us captive. The key to releasing this hold lies in perspective. A failure is not a judgment of our character or abilities, but simply an opportunity to learn and adjust. Every mistake carries within it a lesson that, if acknowledged, can guide us toward improvement. Instead of focusing on what went wrong, we can shift our energy to what can be done differently next time. By doing so, we detach the mistake from our identity and place it in the category of experience, a valuable, necessary component of success. To stop letting mistakes define us, we must learn to separate the act from the person. We are not our failures. We are the actions we take after they occur. Each moment offers the chance to redefine ourselves, not by the past, but by our willingness to keep going. Every time we choose to rise after a fall, we demonstrate the depth of our resilience. We prove that we are not defined by our shortcomings, but by our ability to evolve from them. This shift in thinking allows us to embrace mistakes as teachers rather than as proof of our inadequacy. Moreover, moving beyond mistakes requires us to forgive ourselves. Self-forgiveness is a crucial step in this process, and it's not always easy. We often hold ourselves to higher standards than we would ever apply to others. Yet, in the face of failure, being kind to ourselves is essential. Forgiveness is not an acknowledgement that our actions didn't matter, but a recognition that we did the best we could with the knowledge and resources we had at the time. By accepting this, we begin to dismantle the shame and guilt that trap us in the past, allowing us to move forward with more clarity and confidence. At the same time, we must also make peace with the idea that failure is an inevitable part of life. It's a part of being human. To deny this is to deny our own humanity. Instead of viewing mistakes as something to avoid at all costs, we can learn to see them as stepping stones to greater self-awareness, wisdom, and strength. When we accept that we will inevitably make mistakes, we free ourselves from the crippling fear of them. We stop seeing failure as a reflection of who we are and begin to view it as an unavoidable aspect of any worthwhile journey. In our quest to move beyond mistakes It's also important to remind ourselves that no mistake is ever truly final. Every new day offers a chance to begin again, to try once more, with a clearer mind, and with the benefit of newfound knowledge. Our mistakes become the foundation upon which we build better versions of ourselves. With every effort, no matter how small, we are making progress. The key is not to dwell on what went wrong, but to ask ourselves how we can grow from what happened. By learning to release the grip of regret and self-doubt, we open ourselves up to a life of greater freedom and possibility. When we stop letting our mistakes define us, we start seeing the boundless potential within us. Every day is an opportunity to reinvent ourselves, to learn, and to continue on the path toward our fullest expression. Chapter 5. The Path of Persistence. Persistence is not simply about working hard. It's about committing to the long journey, even when the path is unclear or riddled with obstacles. It's a quiet strength, a deep well of determination that fuels us to continue, even when everything around us seems to suggest that stopping would be the easier, more logical choice. The true measure of resilience isn't found in how quickly we succeed, but in how steadily we persist in the face of setbacks and failures. Every repeated effort, every trial, and every time we rise after falling, we grow stronger and more capable. In the pursuit of any meaningful goal, setbacks are inevitable. The road to success is not a straight line, but a winding, unpredictable journey. It is during these challenging moments, when things don't go according to plan, that persistence becomes a transformative force. These moments test not only our resolve, but also our ability to see beyond immediate frustration. Persistence teaches us that one failure does not signal the end of the road, but merely an indication that we must adjust our course, try again, and keep moving forward. It's about continuing to put one foot in front of the other, no matter how difficult the terrain. The process of building resilience is not instantaneous. It is the result of repeated effort in the face of adversity. Each time we encounter a setback, we have a choice. We can choose to succumb to disappointment, or we can choose to learn from it and push forward. Resilience is not something we're born with, but something we develop through consistent action and perseverance. It is honed in the moments where we face challenges, yet refuse to be defined by them. Each time we get back up, we reinforce the belief that we are capable of overcoming whatever comes our way. The path of persistence often requires us to shift our perspective on failure. Rather than seeing it as a stopping point or a signal to give up, we can choose to view it as a temporary setback, a stepping stone on the way to success. Every failure contains within it an opportunity for growth, a lesson that, when learned, makes us stronger and more prepared for the next challenge. In fact, some of the greatest innovations and achievements in history were born not out of success, but from the ability to persist through countless failures. The key is not to let failure determine our worth, but to see it as part of a much larger picture, one in which each effort, no matter how small, contributes to our ultimate success. Each repeated effort, no matter how imperfect, shapes our character and enhances our skills. The more we persist, the more we refine our approach, and the more we understand our own capacity for growth. Persistence isn't about striving for perfection, but about having the courage to try, fail, and try again with unwavering determination. It is this repeated action, this consistent effort in the face of obstacles, that leads to mastery. Success is not a destination, but a process that requires patience, endurance, and an openness to learning through each setback. In moments of doubt, when the temptation to quit is strong, it is helpful to remember that the difference between those who succeed and those who don't often comes down to persistence. It is not always the most talented or the most gifted who achieve great things. Rather, it is those who continue to show up, who refuse to be defeated by their circumstances, who persist in the face of adversity. Persistence is the great equalizer, the force that enables us to transform challenges into opportunities and setbacks into stepping stones. When we turn setbacks into steps forward, we change the narrative of our own journey. Each failure becomes less of a source of pain and more of a powerful reminder that we are capable of overcoming anything. With persistence, even the most difficult experiences become part of the process, something that adds depth to our character and wisdom to our perspective. This is how resilience is built, not through avoidance of failure, but through a deep commitment to keep moving, no matter what. In the end, it is not the absence of setbacks, but our response to them that defines our success. Persistence isn't about avoiding failure, but about refusing to let it stop us. It's about showing up every day, no matter how many times we fall, and continuing to give our best. With every step forward, no matter how small, we reinforce the foundation of resilience that will carry us through any challenge. Chapter 6. The Power of Self-Compassion. Self-compassion isn't about ignoring mistakes or glossing over failures. It's about treating ourselves with the same kindness and understanding we would offer a dear friend in times of struggle. In moments of difficulty, it's all too easy to fall into harsh self-judgment or criticism, to focus solely on what went wrong, or to believe that we are somehow undeserving of success. Yet these thoughts only deepen our wounds, blocking the very growth we are seeking. When we extend compassion to ourselves, we shift the narrative from one of failure to one of resilience, from one of defeat to one of recovery. Being kind to ourselves during tough times doesn't mean we are excusing our shortcomings or opting for complacency. Instead, it means accepting that mistakes and setbacks are an inevitable part of the journey. It means recognizing that to err is human, and in that humanity lies an opportunity to learn, adapt, and evolve. Just as we might comfort a friend who's feeling down after a failure, we need to extend that same level of care toward ourselves. In doing so, we create an environment in which healing, growth, and progress are possible. The inner critic can be loud and insistent, often drowning out our capacity to be gentle with ourselves. This voice, fueled by self-doubt and fear of judgment, can hold us hostage, preventing us from moving forward. Self-compassion works as a counterbalance, offering us the space to acknowledge our flaws and missteps without allowing them to define us. It enables us to accept that imperfection is part of being human, and rather than feeling defeated, we can view our challenges as opportunities for self-awareness and growth. It's a call to be kind to ourselves, to nurture our mental and emotional well-being, especially when the world around us may be less than supportive. Forgiveness plays a pivotal role in this process. When we forgive ourselves, we are not absolving ourselves of responsibility, but instead allowing ourselves to move forward without the burden of guilt and shame. Holding on to regret is like carrying a heavy weight. It drains our energy and prevents us from fully embracing the present moment. Forgiveness frees us from that weight, giving us the ability to learn from our mistakes without letting them control our lives. In this way, forgiveness becomes a tool for liberation, allowing us to make peace with our past while focusing on the possibilities of the future. By practicing self-compassion, we open the door to healing. Our capacity to move forward is directly tied to how we treat ourselves during times of struggle. If we continuously punish ourselves for every mistake or failure, we create an environment of fear and self-criticism, which can paralyze us. On the other hand, when we show ourselves kindness, we create the space for emotional recovery and growth. The power of self-compassion lies not in perfection, but in the acceptance of our imperfections, knowing that they are part of what makes us whole. Self-compassion also requires us to recognize our inherent worth. It's easy to tie our value to external achievements, to define ourselves by how well we perform or how much we accomplish. Yet true self-worth is independent of success or failure. When we embrace self-compassion, we acknowledge that we are worthy of kindness and respect simply by being human. This foundational belief in our inherent value allows us to weather the storms of life with greater ease, knowing that we are deserving of happiness and fulfillment, regardless of our current circumstances. In difficult times, self-compassion is the gentle reminder that we are not alone. It connects us to our shared humanity and helps us feel less isolated in our struggles. It offers comfort when the world feels heavy, and allows us to find strength in vulnerability. When we embrace self-compassion, we give ourselves permission to be imperfect, to fall, and to rise again. It's a practice that reminds us that our worth is not defined by our mistakes, but by our capacity to keep moving forward, to keep learning, and to keep growing. The journey toward growth and progress is often filled with hardship. Yet when we face these challenges with self-compassion, we transform the experience. Instead of seeing failures as signs of our inadequacy, we begin to view them as stepping stones toward greater understanding and wisdom. The power of self-compassion lies in its ability to soften the blows of life, enabling us to approach ourselves with tenderness rather than criticism. This approach not only accelerates our healing, but also propels us toward the growth and progress that we seek. Chapter 7. Shifting the Narrative. The stories we tell ourselves shape our reality. Each moment, each decision, we're constantly writing our own narrative. Yet, when failure enters the picture, this narrative often shifts toward defeat, self-doubt, and shame. The stories we tell ourselves in the wake of failure can either be a source of growth or a path to self-imposed limitation. Changing that story isn't just a matter of switching a few words around. It's about transforming the entire way we approach failure, viewing it not as an end but as a vital part of a larger journey. The narrative we hold about failure tends to be deeply rooted, shaped by experiences, societal expectations, and the reactions of those around us. When failure is perceived as a reflection of who we are, we risk letting it define us. If we tell ourselves that failure means we are inadequate, unworthy, or incapable, we create a self-fulfilling prophecy. This internalized story becomes a lens through which we see all future challenges, often blocking our potential before we even try. But the truth is, failure does not define us. Our response to failure does. To shift the narrative, we must first change how we view the event of failure itself. Instead of seeing it as an endpoint, we can choose to see it as a beginning. Failure can be reframed as a lesson, a stepping stone on the way to something greater. It becomes a source of knowledge, a place where we can examine our strategies, our mindset, and our approach, and decide to move forward with greater insight and determination. Shifting the narrative requires us to understand that each setback is simply a part of the natural ebb and flow of progress, not a verdict on our abilities or potential. This shift isn't just about perspective, it's about actively reprogramming the story that we tell ourselves. Our internal dialogue, especially in moments of difficulty, plays a crucial role in how we move through the world. Self-talk can be a powerful tool for overcoming obstacles, but it can also be our worst enemy. When faced with failure, the tendency is to spiral into negative self-talk. I'm not good enough. I'll never make it. I've failed before, so why try again? These thoughts reinforce a fixed mindset and trap us in a cycle of fear and self-doubt. To shift the narrative, we must replace these limiting thoughts with affirmations of resilience, strength, and possibility. Positive self-talk isn't about simply ignoring our mistakes or pretending everything is fine. It's about recognizing that setbacks are a natural part of growth and that failure does not equate to finality. When we use self-talk to acknowledge our efforts, to remind ourselves that we have the strength to continue, we empower ourselves to keep moving forward. It's a practice that helps us build a more supportive, compassionate relationship with ourselves, where failure is no longer feared, but embraced as a catalyst for growth. The language we use internally has the power to build or break down our confidence. When faced with setbacks, the way we speak to ourselves can either lift us up or keep us stuck in fear. Rewriting the narrative means choosing words that are affirming, encouraging, and future-focused. Instead of saying, I failed and now I'm done, we can say, this is a learning experience. I can take what I've learned and do better next time. Instead of asking, what went wrong? We can ask, what can I do differently moving forward? These subtle shifts in language reshape our internal world, helping us see obstacles as opportunities rather than roadblocks. The power of shifting the narrative also lies in our ability to take ownership of our journey. Rather than seeing ourselves as victims of failure, we can choose to see ourselves as active participants in our own growth. This mindset shift allows us to take responsibility for the lessons we glean from our experiences without feeling burdened by them. Failure no longer holds us hostage. It becomes an ally, a teacher that guides us toward our next step. In doing so, we regain our agency and strengthen our resolve to keep moving forward. The more we practice shifting the narrative, the more natural it becomes to view challenges with curiosity rather than fear. We stop fearing failure because we understand that failure doesn't take away from who we are. It adds to the richness of our experience. It's a part of the process, not the end of the road. By shifting the way we talk to ourselves, by changing the stories we tell about our failures, we free ourselves from the weight of self-doubt and move toward a future of possibility and growth. Through this shift, we not only embrace failure, but use it as the very fuel that drives us to greater heights. Chapter 8. Embracing the Uncertainty. Life is a constant dance between the known and the unknown. Every decision, every step forward, involves navigating the uncertainty that surrounds us. Yet for many, uncertainty is a source of fear, a landscape of doubt and hesitation. The desire for control and the need for certainty can trap us in cycles of perfectionism and stagnation. But there is an inherent freedom in letting go of the need to have everything figured out, to have every detail perfect before taking action. It's in embracing the unknown that true growth and opportunity unfold. Perfectionism often stems from a deep-rooted fear, the fear of failure, judgment, or simply not measuring up. We convince ourselves that if we can just get everything right, then we will find success, approval, or happiness. But perfection is an illusion. It's a moving target, always just out of reach. The pursuit of perfection can become an obstacle in itself, keeping us trapped in a constant state of striving and never allowing us to take that first step toward something new. When we let go of the need to control every outcome, we open ourselves to the full range of possibilities that life has to offer. It's in the space of uncertainty that creativity flourishes, where fresh perspectives emerge, and where innovation thrives. By embracing the unknown, we allow ourselves the freedom to explore new paths, to make mistakes, and to learn along the way. The pressure to be perfect dissipates, and what remains is the authentic pursuit of growth and discovery. Uncertainty, when viewed through the lens of possibility, becomes a fertile ground for transformation. The best ideas, breakthroughs, and achievements often arise from stepping into the unknown. It's in those moments of uncertainty that we are pushed to stretch beyond what we thought was possible, to break free from the constraints we've placed on ourselves. By letting go of perfectionism, we shift from a mindset of limitation to one of expansive potential. Instead of clinging to what we know, we begin to trust in the process, knowing that each step, even the missteps, brings us closer to where we need to be. There is a powerful freedom in embracing uncertainty. The need for certainty can often leave us feeling paralyzed, unable to take action for fear of making the wrong choice. We second-guess ourselves, overthink, and get stuck in a loop of what-ifs. But when we stop trying to control every detail, when we accept that some things are simply out of our hands, we free ourselves from the tyranny of perfectionism. It's in that freedom that we can fully experience life, with all its unpredictability and richness. Embracing the unknown doesn't mean recklessness or abandoning responsibility. It means accepting that we can't control every outcome. It's about trusting ourselves and our ability to navigate challenges as they arise. It's about knowing that we have the resilience to adapt and course correct when things don't go as planned. The more we embrace uncertainty, the more we develop a sense of inner security that doesn't rely on external validation or perfect outcomes. There's a kind of bravery that comes with stepping into the unknown. It requires us to release our need for perfection and embrace the rawness of the experience. It's in these moments of vulnerability, when we're unsure of what will happen next, that we often discover what we're truly capable of. The uncertainty we once feared becomes a space for growth, creativity, and learning, a place where we can take risks and explore the vast possibilities life offers. When we stop striving for perfection, we start focusing on the journey itself, the process of living, learning, and evolving. We stop judging ourselves by how closely we adhere to some imagined ideal, and instead measure our success by how deeply we are willing to dive into the unknown, how much we are willing to trust the unfolding of our path. It's through this embrace of uncertainty that we can experience the fullness of life, knowing that every moment, every choice, is part of the adventure. By embracing the unknown, we unlock a sense of freedom that propels us forward. The need for perfection fades into the background, and in its place, a willingness to explore, to fail, and to grow takes center stage. And in this space, anything is possible. Chapter 9. Building a supportive environment. To truly grow from failure, it's not enough to simply push through on our own. A crucial element in the journey toward resilience and success is the environment in which we operate, and perhaps most importantly, the people we surround ourselves with. Failure, in isolation, can feel like an insurmountable obstacle, but when we have a network that not only understands, but actively embraces the lessons within failure, we find a powerful support system that propels us forward, allowing us to recover quickly and emerge stronger. When you are surrounded by individuals who share the understanding that failure is not an endpoint, but part of the process, it shifts the entire dynamic. The most valuable relationships are often those that are built on trust, understanding, and shared experiences. These relationships create a space where you feel safe to be vulnerable and honest about your struggles without fear of judgment. A network that welcomes failure as a stepping stone to greater achievements transforms the idea of failure from something to fear into something to learn from. There's a remarkable power in having people around you who are not just supporters, but also challengers. A supportive environment is one where others push you to be your best, where they encourage you to stretch beyond your comfort zone, even when the path forward is unclear. These people understand that failure is a necessary part of growth and transformation, and they model this belief in their own lives. It is through their example that you learn how to rebound from setbacks with greater confidence and persistence. What makes these relationships so valuable is the way they foster a sense of belonging and understanding. When you fail, it's not just about bouncing back on your own. The people in your network can offer insights that you might not see from your own perspective. They help reframe your failure, not as a reflection of your worth, but as a part of a larger journey toward success. Their encouragement provides the emotional and mental resources needed to rise again, stronger and more determined. Equally important is the act of giving back. By offering your own support to others within your network who are facing their own challenges, you build a mutually reinforcing system of growth and resilience. There is something uniquely powerful about knowing that you are not just receiving help, but also giving it. This cycle of support doesn't just help you recover from setbacks, it helps both you and your community evolve and thrive in the face of adversity. In a truly supportive environment, failure isn't hidden or disguised as something to be ashamed of. Instead, it's celebrated as an opportunity for learning and growth. This mindset shift is what makes the difference between a network that leaves you isolated in your struggles and one that strengthens you through them. When you are free to fail and learn from it, you can take more risks, pursue more opportunities, and push boundaries with less fear of what might go wrong. The strength of your relationships directly impacts your ability to navigate failure. Surrounding yourself with individuals who understand the challenges you face and who are willing to stand by you, no matter the outcome, provides a sense of security that is critical when setbacks occur. This deep connection enables you to bounce back quicker, learn more efficiently, and maintain your drive toward success even when things don't go as planned. To build this type of environment, it's essential to engage with people who value growth over perfection, progress over instant results. These are the relationships that help you see failure for what it truly is, a natural, inevitable part of the journey toward success. When failure is normalized, it becomes less of a threat and more of a powerful tool for personal development. In these circles of support, failure doesn't just become easier to bear, it becomes easier to understand. Instead of letting your mistakes define you, they become the building blocks of something greater. With the right people beside you, you can face anything, not because you're immune to failure, but because you know you don't have to face it alone. Chapter 10. The long-term benefits of failure. Failure is often perceived as a temporary setback, a stumbling block in the path to success, but in reality, it's a crucial part of a long-term process that refines, strengthens, and prepares us for greater achievements ahead. The experiences we label as failures can be some of the most powerful catalysts for personal growth and future success. In fact, many of the most successful individuals attribute their accomplishments to the lessons learned from their failures. What makes failure so transformative is its ability to offer invaluable insights that success alone cannot provide. When things go wrong, it forces us to pause, reflect, and assess what we've missed. It shines a light on our weaknesses, our blind spots, and the areas where we need to develop further. These moments of discomfort and challenge are often the starting points for profound personal and professional growth. As we face failure, we're not just learning about the task at hand, but also about ourselves, our limits, our resilience, and our capacity to adapt. The idea that failure is a necessary part of success becomes clearer as we look at the broader picture of our lives. In the moment, the sting of failure can feel overwhelming, but when we reflect on the years that follow, we often realize that each setback had its purpose. The mistakes we make today set the foundation for the skills and wisdom we need tomorrow. Success in many ways is built on the lessons failure teaches us, sometimes in ways that are impossible to understand until later. One of the most significant long-term benefits of failure is the development of resilience. Each time we fall and get back up, we become stronger, more adaptable, and more confident in our ability to handle adversity. Over time, this resilience accumulates, creating a mental and emotional fortitude that makes us better equipped to handle the challenges that lie ahead. We stop fearing failure, and instead, we embrace it as part of the process, a natural stepping stone toward our ultimate goals. Failure also helps us hone critical thinking and problem-solving abilities. It encourages us to think more creatively, to reassess our strategies, and to find innovative solutions to problems. When things don't go as planned, we're forced to reconsider our approach, sometimes developing ideas or strategies we wouldn't have considered otherwise. This process of trial and error cultivates a mindset that values learning over perfection and progress over immediate success. It shifts our focus from avoiding mistakes to embracing the opportunity they present for improvement. The impact of failure on our emotional intelligence is another long-term benefit. The emotional toll of failure teaches us how to manage stress, navigate disappointment, and maintain our motivation in the face of adversity. Over time, this emotional growth leads to greater empathy and understanding of others' struggles. We learn to approach situations with a more balanced perspective, understanding that setbacks are a universal part of the human experience. This awareness makes us more compassionate leaders, collaborators, and friends, and enhances our ability to support others through their own challenges. In addition to building resilience, critical thinking, and emotional intelligence, failure also fosters a deeper sense of humility. When we fail, we're reminded that we don't know everything, and that no matter how prepared we are, there are always unforeseen factors at play. This humbling realization opens the door to continual learning and growth. It pushes us to stay curious, to remain open to feedback, and to consistently strive for improvement, knowing that the journey of self-betterment is ongoing. Lastly, one of the greatest long-term benefits of failure is the way it shapes our future success. It may seem counterintuitive, but the very mistakes we make often serve as stepping stones to greater achievements. The experiences we gain through failure provide us with the knowledge, wisdom, and skills needed to succeed in the future. We learn to adjust our expectations, refine our strategies, and build the kind of resilience that is essential for long-term success. Each failure, when viewed through the right lens, becomes a lesson in perseverance, determination, and growth, qualities that are essential for navigating the inevitable challenges of life. Rather than seeing failure as an enemy, we learn to see it as an ally, a partner in our journey toward success. It challenges us, teaches us, and ultimately makes us better equipped to handle the demands of both our personal and professional lives. In this way, failure doesn't just shape our future success, it becomes an integral part of it. Through every misstep, we get closer to the person we need to be in order to achieve our dreams, and with each lesson learned, we unlock a little more of our potential. Chapter 11. Leading by Example. Leadership isn't just about guiding others. It's about showing the way through action, embodying the values we seek to instill in those we lead. If we want to foster an environment where failure is embraced rather than feared, we must first be willing to fail ourselves. As leaders, the courage to fail boldly is the most powerful message we can send to our teams, our families, or anyone who looks to us for guidance. The foundation of leading by example lies in authenticity. It's easy to tell others that failure is a part of the process, that setbacks are not signs of weakness, but stepping stones to success. But words are never as powerful as actions. When we are transparent about our own failures, when we share not just our successes, but the challenges we've faced along the way, we set a precedent for others to do the same. We create a space where failure is not a sign of inadequacy, but a testament to the pursuit of something greater. By showing that we can take risks, make mistakes, and recover from them, we give permission for others to step outside their comfort zones. When people witness their leaders failing, and then moving forward with renewed resolve, they internalize the message that failure is not to be feared. It is a tool, a learning opportunity, and an integral part of the journey. The fear of making mistakes is often more paralyzing than the mistakes themselves, and by embracing our own imperfections, we create an environment where others can do the same without shame. This courage to fail doesn't mean that we ignore the pain or frustration that comes with setbacks. On the contrary, it means acknowledging those feelings, processing them, and then using them as fuel to keep going. By demonstrating resilience in the face of failure, we teach others that it's not the setback that matters, but how we respond to it. We show that failure doesn't define us, but how we rise from it does. Moreover, creating a culture where failure is embraced requires consistency. It's not enough to encourage boldness in the face of failure once or twice. It must be woven into the fabric of the daily operations and values of the organization, family, or group we lead. This culture is built upon a foundation of trust and psychological safety, where individuals feel supported even when things don't go according to plan. When people see their leaders taking risks, making mistakes, and sharing their learning openly, it fosters an environment of openness and growth. People are more likely to take calculated risks, to venture into unknown territory, when they know they are not alone in their struggles. For leaders, this means encouraging experimentation without fear of retribution. In practical terms, this could be fostering an open dialogue about setbacks in meetings, encouraging innovation through trial and error, or creating spaces where failure is openly discussed and analyzed. It's essential to model how to fail in a productive way. Acknowledge the failure, extract the lessons, adjust the approach, and keep moving forward. In this way, failure becomes less about loss and more about discovery. Furthermore, creating a culture that embraces failure involves shifting the narrative around success. In many environments, the conventional metric of success is perfection, the avoidance of mistakes at all costs. Yet perfection is a false idol, one that often stifles creativity and growth. When we redefine success to include learning and progress, failure becomes an inevitable and even desirable part of the equation. In such a culture, individuals are not only encouraged to fail boldly, but also to share their failures as part of their journey toward success. They are not isolated in their moments of difficulty, but supported by the collective strength of the community they are part of. By leading by example and showing vulnerability in the face of failure, leaders help dismantle the stigma that often surrounds mistakes. This leads to greater collaboration, more innovation, and a sense of collective ownership over the journey, not just the destination. Ultimately, when leaders embrace failure as a natural and valuable part of the process, they create an environment that supports continuous growth and development. This culture becomes self-perpetuating. As individuals experience the benefits of embracing failure, they, in turn, lead by example and inspire others to follow suit. The more people see failure as an opportunity rather than a setback, the more they are willing to take bold steps and contribute to a culture of innovation, creativity, and risk-taking. In such an environment, failure is not just accepted, it's celebrated as a critical component of long-term success. Chapter 12. The Courage to Keep Going. In the face of a major setback, it's easy to feel overwhelmed, to wonder if the journey is worth continuing. The road ahead may seem long and uncertain, and the weight of failure can make each step feel heavier than the last. Yet in these very moments, the ability to persist, despite the odds, becomes the defining factor between those who eventually succeed and those who give up. True courage lies not in avoiding failure, but in the ability to keep going in spite of it. The immediate aftermath of a major setback can feel like a storm has swept through your life. The emotions of frustration, disappointment, and confusion are powerful forces, and it's natural to want to step back and retreat to a place of comfort. But it's precisely when the winds of adversity are strongest that the greatest personal growth can occur. The strength required to keep moving forward is forged in the fires of challenge. It's not about pretending the setback didn't happen or rushing past the pain. It's about acknowledging the difficulty, allowing yourself to feel the emotions, and then choosing to keep walking, one step at a time. Resilience is not an innate trait for most. It is something that must be cultivated and nurtured over time. In moments of hardship, the act of continuing despite the difficulty requires a mental and emotional fortitude that often feels elusive. But resilience grows in response to action. Each time you choose to take another step, even when the future seems unclear, you reinforce your capacity for persistence. It becomes a cycle. The more you endure, the stronger your ability to endure becomes. A critical aspect of finding the strength to keep going is shifting your mindset. The pain of failure can cloud your judgment, making it easy to feel as though you are defeated or stuck. But these moments offer the perfect opportunity for transformation. Reframing the setback as a lesson or a challenge to overcome, rather than a permanent barrier, is key. It's essential to remind yourself that setbacks are often temporary. They may slow your progress, but they do not determine the final outcome. The path to success is rarely linear. Most often, it is filled with detours, roadblocks, and obstacles that will test your resolve. But by seeing each of these as part of the larger journey, you begin to recognize that each setback offers a new way to grow, learn, and refine your approach. At the heart of the courage to keep going is the belief in your own purpose. When your actions align with a deeper sense of meaning, when the work you are doing is grounded in values that are greater than the individual obstacles you face, the resilience to continue becomes more natural. Purpose provides the fuel that drives perseverance. It reminds you of the bigger picture, helping you see beyond the immediate pain to the broader impact of your efforts. Without a clear sense of purpose, it's easy to become disillusioned, to question whether the struggle is worth it. But with a defined vision, setbacks become stepping stones rather than roadblocks. In moments of doubt, it's crucial to focus on progress rather than perfection. Too often, People halt their progress because they compare their current state to an idealized version of success. They focus on what is lacking rather than on the growth that has already occurred. The courage to keep going comes from the recognition that every effort counts, even when it doesn't seem like much. The seemingly small actions, making a phone call, writing a paragraph, taking a step forward, are all part of the larger movement toward your goal. Even when things aren't moving as quickly as you hoped, remember that persistence over time compounds into real, tangible progress. In addition to mindset, building a network of support plays a crucial role in maintaining the courage to keep going. There is no shame in leaning on others when you face significant challenges. Having people who understand your struggles and can offer encouragement, advice, or even just a listening ear can be an invaluable source of strength. Surrounding yourself with individuals who believe in your vision, even when you momentarily lose sight of it, can help propel you forward when your own belief falters. Their presence can remind you that failure is not a reflection of your worth, but rather a natural part of the process. Finally, while the external journey may be demanding, the internal journey is just as significant. Each setback tests not only your ability to succeed, but your understanding of who you are and what you stand for. The courage to keep going is not simply about achieving a particular goal, but about evolving into someone who is defined by their ability to persist through adversity. It is through this process of growth, of embracing challenges, learning from mistakes, and continuing despite setbacks, that true strength is built. Each setback offers the opportunity to dig deeper, to explore more of your potential, and to grow into a version of yourself that is unshaken by challenges. The courage to keep going is the courage to believe that you are capable of transforming every difficulty into an opportunity for growth, to stay grounded in your purpose, and to keep moving forward, no matter the obstacles in your path. Chapter 13. Redefining Success. Success for many is often equated with reaching a destination, a finish line that marks the culmination of effort. This destination is typically framed in terms of tangible achievements, promotions, accolades, wealth, or recognition. Yet this narrow view of success can obscure the deeper, more fulfilling journey of growth and personal evolution. True success is not about the end result, but the process of becoming, of continually stretching beyond your current limitations and striving for a life of purpose, resilience, and self-discovery. The traditional definitions of success, rooted in external validation, can often leave us feeling empty, as if something is missing even after we reach the milestones we have longed for. While accomplishments certainly have their place, they are not the ultimate measure of fulfillment. Success, at its core, lies in the quiet progress we make each day toward becoming the person we are meant to be, irrespective of societal expectations or comparisons. It is the gradual unfolding of potential, the small shifts that occur when we push ourselves to face discomfort, when we learn from failure, and when we continuously seek out opportunities to grow. There is a profound difference between reaching a goal and cultivating a mindset of progress. When success is only seen as the attainment of specific outcomes, it breeds a fixed mentality that often leaves little room for flexibility, creativity, or adaptability. Success becomes a rigid framework that we must fit ourselves into, rather than a living, breathing force that constantly evolves. On the other hand, when we embrace success as the ongoing process of growth, we free ourselves from the constraints of perfection. We begin to view every effort, no matter how small, as a vital step in a journey that is as valuable as the destination itself. In this redefined view of success, growth becomes the primary currency. It's not about what you've achieved, but about the person you've become in the process. When effort is the measure of success, setbacks are seen not as failures, but as vital elements in the learning process. They do not diminish our worth, but instead provide the lessons we need to evolve and adapt. Every challenge faced, every obstacle encountered, and every failure experienced is part of the larger arc of development. Growth is the constant companion of progress. and progress, in turn, is the truest measure of success. Success is also deeply personal. What is successful for one person may not resonate with another. This is why comparing our journey to someone else's can be so damaging. Instead, success should be defined individually, based on personal values, passions, and purpose. By understanding what truly matters to us, what gives our lives meaning, we shift away from the external benchmarks of success and embrace our own unique path. This personalized approach allows us to engage with life in a way that feels authentic, empowered, and aligned with our deepest aspirations. The effort we put forth in pursuit of our goals matters more than the speed at which we reach them. Consistency, dedication, and an unwavering commitment to personal growth will always outweigh fleeting moments of achievement. Each time we step into a new challenge, we give ourselves the chance to grow in ways we didn't anticipate. The small actions we take day in and day out accumulate over time, creating a tapestry of progress that is far more meaningful than any single victory. True success, then, can be found in the quiet moments of perseverance, the steadfast commitment to personal values, and the courage to continue evolving. It is in the process of becoming more capable, more compassionate, more resilient, and more aligned with our authentic selves. It is not an abstract or distant future state, but a constant unfolding, one where growth is nurtured, effort is celebrated, and progress is the ultimate achievement. This shift in perspective allows us to embrace life's challenges not as roadblocks, but as opportunities for transformation. When we stop measuring our success by external markers alone, we gain the freedom to live according to our own standards. We discover that true success is not a destination we arrive at, but an ongoing journey of becoming, of striving, and of expanding the limits of what we thought was possible. Every day, every moment, offers a chance to grow, and that growth is, in itself, the truest form of success. Chapter 14. A final word on embracing failure. Failure is not a singular event, nor is it a destination to avoid. It is a fundamental part of the human experience, woven into the fabric of every meaningful pursuit. In moments of failure, we find the space to examine not just our actions, but our deepest assumptions, beliefs, and motivations. This journey, one that ventures through discomfort, vulnerability, and often heartache, becomes the most powerful teacher. The true cost of failure is not in the setbacks we endure, but in the missed opportunities to learn, adapt, and transform ourselves. Reflecting on the journey, we realize that failure is less about the outward signs of defeat and more about what it awakens within us. Each failure becomes a catalyst, nudging us toward a new perspective, a different approach, or even an entirely new path. While society may look at failure as an unwelcome interruption, we see it as a constant companion on the road to personal evolution. It is the weight that forces us to grow stronger, the resistance that sparks our creativity, and the humility that teaches us patience. When we reflect on the experiences that have shaped us, it is often the moments where we stumbled, fell, or lost our footing that are most vivid. These are the moments that crystallize the lessons we carry forward, even though at the time they seemed like signs of defeat. It is in these moments that we are forced to reevaluate who we are and who we wish to become. Failure does not reduce us. It refines us. It reveals to us the hidden strength we did not know we had and pushes us to continue, even when the way forward seems uncertain. Over time, the impact of embracing failure shifts from a painful memory to a profound source of empowerment. Those moments of discomfort and challenge become part of our resilience, allowing us to walk through future obstacles with a calm, steady confidence. The scars of past failures are not marks of shame, but reminders of the courage it took to keep moving forward. They carry within them the wisdom of experience, the kind of wisdom that cannot be learned through success alone. As we reflect on the impact of failure, we also begin to see that it is not just about the lessons learned in isolation. It is through failure that we are often brought into deeper connection with others. Our struggles, when shared, have the power to inspire, uplift, and unite us. In this way, failure becomes not just a personal journey, but a collective one. It teaches us empathy, compassion, and the strength of community. The courage to fail is not something we carry alone. It spreads outward, creating a ripple effect that encourages others to step forward with courage as well. The lasting impact of embracing the courage to fail is not simply measured in the successes that follow. It is found in the depth of our character, the richness of our experiences, and the quality of our relationships. Failure becomes the crucible in which our true potential is forged. It teaches us to trust ourselves, to trust the process, and to trust the wisdom that comes with living authentically and without fear of what lies ahead. Through this lens, failure loses its power to defeat us. Instead, it becomes the fertile soil in which our greatest strengths take root. Every setback, every challenge, every moment of doubt is simply a part of the grand mosaic of our lives, and through each piece, we grow. It is in embracing failure, with all its discomforts and uncertainties, that we find our courage, our resilience, and our path to a life of greater meaning and fulfillment. Conclusion: the journey through failure is not one of despair, but of discovery. As we've explored, failure is not an enemy to be feared, but a necessary companion on the road to growth, understanding, and success. Each moment of struggle holds the potential for transformation, not only in our skills and achievements, but in the very essence of who we are. When we stop seeing failure as a barrier and instead as a stepping stone, we begin to unlock the boundless opportunities that lie within each setback. The courage to fail is not about embracing failure itself, but about embracing what it can teach us. It is through our failures that we build the resilience needed to weather life's challenges, the wisdom to make better decisions, and the humility to acknowledge our limits while reaching for something greater. Failure teaches us that progress is not always linear, and that the true value of our efforts lies in the lessons we glean along the way. The most significant aspect of failure is not the outcome, but the mindset we adopt in response to it. When we shift our perspective and view failure as part of the natural process of becoming who we are meant to be, we free ourselves from the fear of falling short. We no longer shy away from risk, but instead lean into it with the confidence that each step, whether forward or backward, is a step toward becoming our most authentic selves. In the end, it is not success that defines us, but our ability to rise after each fall, to keep moving when it seems easier to give up. The courage to fail is the courage to live fully, to embrace life with all its imperfections, and to grow stronger in the face of adversity. The path to greatness is not paved with uninterrupted triumphs, but with the courage to fail, learn, and try again. As you continue your journey, remember that failure is not the end, but the beginning of something new. It is in the willingness to embrace failure that you will uncover your greatest potential and find the strength to push forward, no matter the obstacles. The only true failure is in not trying at all. So, with courage in your heart, embrace the inevitable setbacks, knowing that each one is an opportunity to become more than you ever thought possible.